A routine patrol. The UES Indomitable cruised through the inky void of space, its sleek, angular hull bristling with an array of advanced weaponry. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain Amelia Donovan stood watch, her sharp green eyes scanning the holographic displays for any signs of trouble. For the past several months, the Indomitable had been patrolling the outer fringes of human-controlled space, near the borders of the territory claimed by the Galactic Council. The Council, a powerful alliance of alien races, had long viewed humanity with a mix of contempt and unease. They saw the rapid technological advancement and expansion of the upstart species as a threat to their own dominance in the galaxy. Despite the tensions, an uneasy peace had held for decades, with the occasional skirmish or diplomatic incident never quite escalating into full-scale war. Still, Captain Donovan knew that the Indomitable's presence out here was a not-so-subtle reminder to the Council of humanity's growing strength and resolve. As she was about to retire to her quarters for some much-needed rest, a sudden ping from the communications console caught her attention. Ensign Liu, the comms officer on duty, looked up at her with a concerned expression. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call from a human trade ship near the Theta Draconis system. They report being under attack by unknown vessels." Donovan's brow furrowed. Theta Draconis was right on the edge of Council space, and any attack there could have serious implications. She made a quick decision. "Set a course for Theta Draconis, maximum speed. Raise shields and bring weapons systems online. I want the ship at battle readiness." As the bridge crew hurried to carry out her orders, Donovan couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. Something told her that this routine patrol was about to take a very unexpected turn. First contact gone wrong. The Indomitable dropped out of warp speed on the outskirts of the Theta Draconis system, its sensors immediately picking up the telltale signs of a space battle. Debris fields littered the area, glittering in the light of the nearby star. "Scan for survivors," Captain Donovan ordered, her voice tense. The sensor operator, Lieutenant Zhang, shook his head grimly. "No life signs detected, Captain." "The trade ship, it's been completely destroyed." Donovan clenched her jaw. Hundreds of lives snuffed out in an instant, but there was no time to grieve. The perpetrators of this attack were still out there. "Captain, I'm picking up energy signatures consistent with Council tech," Zhang reported. "Multiple ships. Looks like a salvage operation." Sure enough, the view screen showed a cluster of angular, asymmetrical vessels sifting through the wreckage, using tractor beams to haul in chunks of metal and debris. Donovan's eyes narrowed. Open a channel. Broadcast on all frequencies. She straightened her uniform and faced the view screen, putting on a mask of calm authority. "This is Captain Amelia Donovan of the UES Indomitable, representing the United Earth Federation. You are trespassing in human space and stand accused of attacking our civilian vessel. Stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded for questioning." For a long moment, there was silence. Then, the screen flickered to life, showing the sneering face of a reptilian alien, its scales a mottled green and eyes a cold, unblinking yellow. "Human vessel," it hissed in heavily accented galactic standard. "You dare to give orders to servants of the Council. Your species' arrogance knows no bounds." Donovan refused to be baited. "The Council has no jurisdiction here. This is an act of war. Surrender now, or we will be forced to take action." The alien laughed, a rasping, hollow sound. "Foolish primate. You face the might of the Council. Surrender your ship and bow before your betters, or be destroyed." With that, the alien cut the transmission. On the tactical display, the Council ships began to move, spreading out into attack formation. "Red alert, all hands to battle stations." Donovan barked. Alarms blared as the Indomitable's crew rushed to their posts. In the next instant, space lit up with a harsh glare of energy weapons as the Council ships opened fire. The Indomitable's shields flared, absorbing the initial volley. It was a testament to the strength of human technology that the shields held it all against such an onslaught. But the Indomitable was far from defenseless. Under Donovan's command, the ship returned fire, its advanced particle beam cannons lancing out to strike the Council vessels. Explosions bloomed in the void as the beams tore through the alien shields and hulls like paper. The battle raged on, the two sides trading blows in a deadly dance of technology and tactics. Donovan gritted her teeth as the ship shuddered under another impact. They were holding their own for now, but the Council ships were numerous and their technology formidable. She had a sinking feeling that this fight was only the beginning of something much larger, and that the fate of humanity itself might soon hang in the balance. The Council's ultimatum. The battle had been won, but at a cost. The Indomitable limped away from the engagement zone, its once pristine hull scored and blackened by energy blasts. In the end, superior human technology and the skill of Captain Donovan and her crew had carried the day, with the Council ships either destroyed or driven off through the nearby wormhole. But the Indomitable had not emerged unscathed. Damage reports flooded in from all decks. Shield generators strained to the breaking point, weapon systems depleted, whole sections of the ship exposed to vacuum. The casualties, thankfully, had been light, a testament to the ship's advanced safety systems and the quick reactions of its crew. In the aftermath of the fight, Donovan knew that there would be little time to rest or regroup. The Council would not take this defeat lightly. Even now, she could picture the outrage in the Council chambers as they learned of the upstart humans and their powerful warship. Her suspicions were confirmed a mere hours later, as the Indomitable made its way back towards the nearest human outpost for repairs. A priority transmission came through from Earth Central Command. Captain Donovan, the face of Admiral Singh, her direct superior, appeared on the screen. His normally stoic features were drawn in grave. "We've received a communique from the Council. They are less than pleased about the incident at Thitatracumis." Donovan's lips thinned. "I'm not surprised, Admiral. We gave them quite the bloody nose. I'm sure they'll want to posture and threaten, make demands for reparations or sanctions." Singh shook his head. "It's worse than that. Amelia, they're calling the Indomitable a rogue vessel and a clear and present threat to galactic peace. They're demanding that we surrender the ship and its crew to them immediately for disciplinary action." Donovan's eyes widened in shock. "They want us to what?" "Admiral, they fired on us first. We were responding to a distress call from a human ship that they attacked." "I know that, and you know that, but the Council is spinning it differently. They claim that our aggressive expansion and illegal technological advancements are a violation of Council law. They say that the Indomitable proves that we've been developing forbidden weapons in secret." The captain's hands clenched into fists at her sides. The Council's hypocrisy was staggering. They were the ones who had been pushing the boundaries, testing humanity's resolve. And now they sought to use this incident as a pretext to humiliate and subjugate Earth. "So what's our response?" she asked, dreading the answer. Admiral Singh's expression was grim. "The Federation Council is in emergency session now. But Amelia, there's talk of capitulation, of giving in to the Council's demands to avoid a war we're not sure we can win." Donovan's blood ran cold. "Surrender the Indomitable. Let the Council dictate terms to humanity. Treat them as vassals and subordinates." Every fiber of her being rebelled against the idea. She drew in a deep breath. "Admiral, with all due respect, we can't let them do this. The Indomitable is more than just a ship. It's a symbol of everything humanity has achieved, how far we've come. If we give in to the Council now, it will only embolden them further." Singh gave a weary nod. "I agree with you, Captain, but the decision is not ours to make. All we can do is wait and hope that cooler heads prevail." As the transmission ended, Donovan was left alone with her thoughts and the weight of the knowledge that the fate of her ship, and possibly the future of her species, now hung in the balance. Dark times were ahead, and the Indomitable would need to live up to its name as never before. Humanity stands defiant. The news of the Council's ultimatum sent shockwaves through the United Earth Federation. In the halls of power on Earth and across the scattered human colonies, debates raged and tempers flared. There were those who urged caution, who saw the Council's vast power and influence, and feared the consequences of defiance. Surely it was better to bend than to break, to accept a diminished status than to risk annihilation. But there were others, a vocal and passionate faction, who saw surrender as the greatest threat of all. They argued that giving in to the Council's demands would be the first step on a slippery slope to total subjugation. Humanity had not come this far, had not clawed its way to the stars and built wonders like the Indomitable, only to bow before alien tyrants. As the politicians and diplomats wrangled, Captain Donovan and her crew threw themselves into the work of repairing and refitting their battered ship. The Indomitable's advanced nanotech repair systems worked tirelessly, rebuilding shattered hull plates and regenerating damaged circuitry. The ship's AI, a highly advanced and adaptive system, ran constant simulations, analyzing the data from the battle and devising new strategies and countermeasures. Donovan oversaw it all with a grim determination. She knew that whatever the outcome of the debates on Earth, the Indomitable would be at the forefront of what was to come. Either it would be the instrument of humanity's submission, or the spearhead of its defiance. Days turned into weeks as the standoff continued. The Council grew increasingly impatient, issuing new demands and threats with each passing day. Some of the weaker-willed among the human leadership began to waver, to talk of compromise and accommodation. But then, as tensions reached a breaking point, a new voice emerged. It was the voice of the people, of the countless billions across the far-flung worlds of human space. In rallies and demonstrations, in viral videos, and impassioned netcasts, they made their will known. They would not submit. They would not surrender. They were human, and they would not be ruled by any power but their own. Faced with this groundswell of popular resolve, the politicians fell into line. The Federation Council convened one final time and issued its response to the Council's ultimatum. We will not yield. We will not bow. We stand by our principles and our rights as a free and sovereign species. If the Council seeks to impose its will upon us, let them do so at their own peril. Aboard the Indomitable, now restored to full fighting strength, and bristling with even deadlier armaments, Captain Donovan received her new orders. The ship was to set course for the heart of Council space, to the very doorstep of their power. It would be a show of defiance, a declaration to the galaxy that humanity would not be cowed. As the mighty warship set out on its fateful mission, Donovan addressed her crew, her voice ringing with conviction and resolve. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of all humanity. In the face of threat and intimidation, we stand tall. In the name of freedom and self-determination, we go forth. Let the Council do their worst. We will meet it head-on, and we will prevail. For we are human, and we know not how to yield. A cheer went up from the assembled crew, a sound of pride and determination that echoed through the halls of the great ship. The die had been cast, the Rubicon crossed. Humanity had chosen its path, and the Indomitable would blaze the trail, come what may. The wrath of the Council. As the Indomitable boldly ventured into the heart of Council space, the response was swift and brutal. The Council, outraged by humanity's defiance and the symbolic challenge of the lone warship, marshaled its forces for a devastating show of power. From across the vast reaches of their domain, the Council races sent their fleets to converge on the Indomitable's position. Sleek, deadly vessels of 100 different designs, bristling with advanced weapons and shielding, formed up in a massive armada that filled the void with their menacing presence. Aboard the Indomitable, the mood was tense but resolute. Captain Donovan and her crew knew that they were outnumbered and outgunned, facing odds that would have made any sane commander quail. But they were not here for a sane or rational mission. They were here to send a message, to prove a point, to show the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the night. As the Council armada closed in, the Indomitable's advanced sensors and AI systems went to work, analyzing the enemy's composition and formation, probing for weaknesses and vulnerabilities. Donovan pored over the data, her mind racing as she sought to devise a strategy that would allow her ship to survive the coming onslaught. But even the most brilliant tactical mind could not change the harsh reality of the situation. The Council's ships outnumbered the Indomitable 100 to 1, and their technology, while not as advanced as humanity's in some respects, was still formidable and deadly. The first wave of attackers came in fast and hard, their energy weapons lighting up the void with a dazzling display of destructive power. The Indomitable's shields flared and crackled under the onslaught, the ship's hull shuddering as the inertial dampeners struggled to compensate. But the Indomitable was far from helpless. Its own weapons, an array of cutting-edge particle beams, plasma cannons, and graviton torpedoes, lashed out in response, ripping through the Council ship's defenses and sending many of the attackers spiraling away in ruin. The battle raged on, a swirling maelstrom of destruction and chaos. The Indomitable's AI worked tirelessly, adapting and recalibrating the ship's systems in real time to counter the Council's tactics. Donovan and her crew pushed themselves to the limit, their skills and training put to the ultimate test as they fought to keep their ship alive and fighting. But for all their valor and determination, the odds were simply too great. The Council ships kept coming, wave after wave of them, an endless tide of firepower and fury. The Indomitable's shields began to falter, its weapons systems overheating and misfiring under the sustained barrage. And then came the final blow. A group of Council ships, in a daring and desperate gambit, broke through the Indomitable's defenses and launched a volley of high-yield antimatter torpedoes. The warheads detonated in a blinding flash of annihilation, the shockwaves tearing through the Indomitable's already weakened shields and hull. On the bridge, alarms blared and consoles erupted in showers of sparks. Donovan clung to her command chair as the deck bucked and heaved beneath her. Display screens flickered and went dark, the ship's eye struggling to maintain basic functions. The Indomitable was crippled, its engines offline, its weapons silent. It drifted in the void, a battered and broken shell of its former might. Aboard the Council ships, there was a sense of triumph and vindication. The upstart humans had been taught a harsh lesson, their arrogance and defiance crushed beneath the weight of the Council's power. But even as the Council ships moved in for the kill, their sensors detected a strange anomaly emanating from the stricken human vessel. It was a signal, a pulsing, cryptic transmission being broadcast on all frequencies. The Council commanders, flush with victory, paid it little heed. It was just the death throes of a beaten foe, they reasoned. Nothing to be concerned about. They could not have been more wrong. Endgame. The signal emanating from the crippled Indomitable was no mere distress call or final act of defiance. It was a triggering pulse, a carefully crafted transmission designed to activate the ship's last and most desperate weapon. Deep within the Indomitable's shattered hull, a swarm of dormant nanobots stirred to life, activated by the signal. These were no ordinary repair drones, but something far more insidious and deadly. A weapon of last resort, designed for a situation just like this. The nanobots, microscopic but innumerable, poured out of the Indomitable in a glittering cloud, propelled by miniaturized thrusters. They swarmed towards the Council ships, drawn to the vessel's electronic signatures like moths to a flame. The Council's sensors detected the approaching swarm, but too late. The nanobots were already upon them, penetrating their hulls through the tiniest of cracks and crevices, infiltrating their systems like a technological virus. Aboard the Council ships, chaos erupted as the nanobots began their insidious work. They rewrote software, reprogrammed AI, hijacked control systems. Weapons turned on their own ships. Engines shut down or went into overdrive. Life support faltered and failed. In a matter of minutes, the once proud Council Armada had been reduced to a floating graveyard, its ships drifting aimlessly or torn apart by their own malfunctioning systems. The few that survived the initial onslaught were left paralyzed and helpless, their crews frantically trying to purge the nanobot infestation. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Donovan watched the unfolding devastation with a mix of awe and horror. This was the power that humanity had unlocked in its darkest hour, a technological terror that could bring even the mightiest foe to its knees. But the Indomitable's troubles were far from over. The ship was still badly damaged, its systems barely functioning. And the nanobots, having completed their mission, were now returning to the ship, intent on carrying out their secondary protocol: self-destruction. Donovan knew that if the nanobots were allowed to detonate within the Indomitable, it would mean the end of the ship and everyone aboard. With a desperate effort, she rallied her battered crew for one final push. Engineers and technicians raced to bring the ship's weapons back online, fighting against time and the ship's own failing systems. In the end, they managed to get a single particle beam cannon operational, its targeting systems locked onto the approaching swarm. It was a one-shot gamble, a last throw of the dice. Donovan gave the order to fire, and the cannon unleashed a searing beam of energy that swept through the swarm, vaporizing the nanobots in a dazzling display of pyrotechnics. The Indomitable was safe, but at a terrible cost. The ship was all but destroyed, its once mighty form reduced to a battered, barely functional wreck. And the Council, though defeated, would not soon forget or forgive this humiliation. In the aftermath of the battle, as rescue ships arrived to evacuate the Indomitable's crew and the Council licked its wounds, the full impact of what had occurred began to sink in. The balance of power in the galaxy had been forever altered, the Council's aura of invincibility shattered. Humanity had shown that it would not be cowed or controlled, that it would fight for its freedom and autonomy with every weapon and resource at its disposal. The road ahead would be long and hard, filled with new challenges and dangers, but one thing was certain: the age of human subservience was over. As for Captain Donovan and her valiant crew, they had etched their names into the annals of history, their deeds and sacrifices a shining beacon for all humanity. The Indomitable, broken but unbowed, would stand forever as a symbol of the indomitable human spirit. And in the halls of power across the galaxy, a new realization began to dawn. The days of underestimating or dismissing the human race were over. For better or worse, humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and it would have a say in the shape of the future to come. The end.